We're back with a conversation with Congresswoman Karen Bass, and we're going to talk first now about DACA, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. These are young people in the United States brought in as children, as babies, who are not citizens. They have until March 5th under a new deadline to do something about it, and the fear is that most won't be able to do something about it. What, if anything, is Congress doing?
Well, that is a good question. You know, Congress was stymied because what really needs to happen is just a simple extension of DACA, or the president could withdraw the deadline that he self-imposed. So this is a crisis that didn't need to happen. This is something that Trump decided to do. So Congress needs to have legislation to extend it. And in the Senate, they had negotiated a bipartisan bill. Trump didn't like it. He tweeted about it, and that essentially killed that bipartisan process. And I think that that's unfortunate, because now what he's doing is, instead of just addressing the issue of DACA and border security, he's now added in legal immigration. And if you're going to address legal immigration, you need to do comprehensive immigration reform.
This is getting rid of the lottery. This is doing all sorts of things that he would like to do that's tied in now to this DACA issue.
Right. And the lottery is an interesting issue, because the Visa lottery is a program that was set up a few decades ago to increase the number of Irish coming into the United States. Over the last 10 or 15 years, now it's primarily used by Africans and Asians. So if you can see, he's pitting people against each other. And then the idea of family unification, which they've come up with a horrible term called chain migration, which is just a made-up term. Family unification. So now people are having to choose between, should I support DACA and then not allow families to come together? That is so against American values.
Well, one undoes the other, the way this is set up?
Well, what they want to do is what the president is proposing, and again, this is different. He spent weeks talking about he just wanted to take care of the DACA young people, and then recently he added in Visa lottery and family reunification. So he wants it as a package.
But initially it was DACA and funding for the wall, was it not?
DACA and border security, exactly. So those are the two issues. That's where the debate should be. But adding in legal immigration then creates massive confusion and is in fact a poison pill, because Democrats, I believe and I hope, will not support changing legal immigration, you know, in addition.
Now, is there some feeling that I get that the courts may provide some relief for the DACA recipients?
I am hoping the courts do that. So far, 2 levels of the courts have refused to enforce the president's, you know, removal of DACA. The courts have said he cannot just unilaterally using his executive authority in the program that was in place. So now it's pending at the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court goes along or does not take up the issue, then actually the courts would overrule the president. And that, to me, is the best outcome.
And that also is pending also for the Muslim travel ban, as
right, exactly, exactly. They did allow part of the travel ban to be enforced, but they are waiting to make a decision on it.
Now let's talk about, there's also in immigration, there is border security, there is ICE, and this past week the president has said that, well, let's just try pulling ICE and federal security out of California. He said, I think I quote, I mean, frankly, if I wanted to pull our people from California, you would have a crime mess like you've never seen in California. He said, all I'd have to do is to say to ICE and Border Patrol, let California alone. You'd be inundated. You'd see crime like no one's seen crime.
You know, the thing that is so shocking about the president is that he literally just makes things up. So if you dissect what you just said, he is saying that there's a crime wave happening here. It's all because of immigrants. And if you remove ICE, then crime is going to increase. The immigrants that they are removing through these raids has done nothing to impact crime in this area. And so it's literally something that he has made up. The other thing that I think is particularly egregious about this is that you have a president who is mad at California because California is not in love with him. And so he has instituted punitive policies against our state. And one of the examples are the very arbitrary ICE raids that are taking place.
And there have been some court action against some of the punitive action that the administration's taken against the police department on a federal grant that would give several $million to hire more police to target high crime areas. It's being sued, I believe now, that money was withheld in retaliation for the state's unwillingness, certainly LA's unwillingness, to cooperate with ICE detainers, with the ability to hold people for past their time to get out of prison or jail, to be held for ICE to come up and pick them up.
Well, they actually have a long list of things they want to do to the state of California, and that's what I find particularly egregious. Now, I'm very proud of our state. I'm very proud of our state legislature, our city council that has stood up and have affirmatively passed legislation and policies to say that we are not going to go along with what the president is imposing. I mean, health care is a perfect example. Immigration is another example. We're very fortunate to live in California.
Well, perhaps is California waving a red flag in front of a bull, though? I mean, should California try to be a little bit more moderate in its stance?
Well, I don't think that we can. So, for example, when he wants to cut back on health care and our state affirmatively passes legislation to say, no, we are going to provide health care to Californians, that to me is exactly what we need to be doing.